Hello everyone, welcome to the April 4th Coalition Show. This is the November 17th, 2025 show. It's a special edition. We're lucky to have our special guest here, John Weissman. We work together as members of the National Association of Letter Carriers, but John's here today to talk about single-payer health care in Massachusetts. And Cindy, thank you for being with us too. The April 4th Coalition's mission statement is, we are for workers' rights and collective bargaining rights, and we're against tax breaks for the rich and corporations who ship our jobs overseas. We endorse all the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but we focus especially on Article 23. So, number one, everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favorable conditions of work, and protection against unemployment.
Number two, everyone, without any discrimination, has the right to equal pay for equal work.
Number three, everyone who works has the right to just and favorable remuneration, ensuring for him or herself and his or her family an existence worthy of human dignity and supplemented, if necessary, by other means of social protection.
Number four, everyone has the right to form and join trade unions for the protection of his or her interests.
Well, thank you. I didn't go over your biography very well, John. I don't know how you want to be introduced. I know you as former union president of Branch 46 of the National Association of Letter Carriers. Also, I think you founded Western Mass Jobs for Justice, and we were associated with you there. And now you're part of this Massachusetts single-payer group. And you're also an award-winning community organizer. We can't go through all the awards, but I don't know what else you want to say about yourself so people get to know you a little bit.
Granby. I live in Granby, which I hope people can find. And I'm on the board of MassCare, the Massachusetts Campaign for Single-Payer Healthcare. And that's today, that's right now.
Okay, so before we get started talking with each other, there's a video by MassCare that we'd like to show. It's about 6 minutes long, just to give you a little introduction to what MassCare is trying to achieve here in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, home of Harvard, Dunkin' Donuts, and crippling healthcare costs. Yeah, that last one doesn't exactly sound awesome, does it? But it's the reality for too many in this state. We're talking about families struggling to afford life-saving medications, seniors forced to choose between rent and doctor's visits, small businesses getting crushed by insurance premiums. It's a system that's broken, and we've all paid the price. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be this way. Massachusetts has a chance to lead the nation once again to build a healthcare system that actually puts people first. And that's where single payer comes in. Imagine a Massachusetts where healthcare isn't a privilege, it's a right. Where access to doctors, hospitals, and medications isn't tied to the size of your bank account. That's the promise of single payer healthcare, and it isn't some crazy dream. It's a real, concrete proposal on Beacon Hill to create the Massachusetts Healthcare Trust. If made law, this trust would fundamentally change the way healthcare works in Massachusetts. It would create a single publicly funded system that covers everyone in the state. That means no more insurance companies, no more co-pays, no more deductibles. Just straightforward, accessible healthcare for all, as it should be. So who gets to enjoy this healthcare utopia? Pretty much everyone who calls the state of Massachusetts home. Every man, woman, and child, regardless of their income, employment status, or pre-existing conditions. And it won't matter if you were born here or moved here. If you live here and intend to stay, you're covered. That means no more worrying about losing healthcare if you switch jobs or have your hours cut. This is healthcare that's truly universal. No worrying about fine print, loopholes, or unfair denials. Just quality healthcare for everyone who needs it. You know, all those co-pays, co-insurance, and other out-of-pocket expenses anytime you need a doctor? Well, you can kiss them goodbye, because under single payer, they're gone. That means not putting off a doctor's visit because you can't afford the copay. That means not skipping an important medication because your insurance won't cover it. That means not facing financial ruin because of a medical emergency. This is healthcare the way it should be. Simple and stress-free. As you can see, single-payer healthcare is awesome. But how are we going to pay for it? That's the million-dollar question. Fortunately, it's an easy question to answer. Funds will come from a modest payroll tax, along with state and federal funds. I know no one likes the word tax, but hear me out. While a few at the top could see a slight increase, most of us will save money. We'll no longer be shelling out for co-pays, co-insurance, or premiums, and our hospitals won't have to deal with insurance bureaucracy. Studies have shown that single-payer healthcare would save Massachusetts billions of dollars each year. That's right, billions. Now, let's not sugarcoat things. Implementing a single-payer system won't be a walk in the park. There will be challenges, roadblocks, and naysayers lurking around every corner. One of the biggest hurdles will be overcoming opposition from special interests like insurance companies, who stand to lose a lot of money under a single-payer system. They'll fight tooth and nail to protect their profits, even if it means sacrificing the health and lives of millions of people. But here's the thing, we can't let them win. The stakes are too high. We need to stand together, raise our voices, and demand a healthcare system that works for everyone, not just the wealthy and well-connected. Despite the challenges we'll face in getting this passed, the benefits will be worth it. We're talking about a healthier, more productive, and more equitable Massachusetts, where everyone has access to the care they need when they need it, where families no longer have to choose between putting food on the table and seeing a doctor, where small businesses can thrive without the crushing burden of healthcare costs. That's the promise of single-payer healthcare, and it's a future worth fighting for. The fight for single payer is about more than just policy. It's about justice. It's about ensuring that everyone, regardless of income or background, can live a long, healthy life. So, what can you do to help get this done? Contact your elected officials, talk to your friends and family, and spread the word on social media. The more we demand change, the harder it will be for our leaders to ignore us. This is our chance to make history, Massachusetts. Let's seize it.
Well, thank you. That was an excellent
That
video.
was really inspiring. Oh my gosh.
So John, you have a presentation that you'd like to make to us right now, and then we'll try to come up with some questions to see what else you could expound upon.
Thank you. First of all, a shout out to Brian Healy, who made that video. Brian with a Y. He's got a financial stake in the future of this campaign because he's got a small tech company in the Boston area. He knows how hard it is to pay wages worthy of the people that work in the tech industry and also provide health care. So anyway, I thought I'd begin by describing the current, we almost say system, but it's not. It's a healthcare industry. And some of the characteristics beyond what Brian was talking about, first of all, believe it or not, we have to shop for health insurance. And then unions and employers and providers are spending time and money administering health insurance. And we have tiers and networks and PPOs and HCOs and HMOs and EPOs and POSs and HDHPs. And if you're not familiar with the jargon, of course, most of us aren't, they do have there's a page I found which summarizes all of them. So the benefits are unstable, they're uncertain, they can be changed at any time. Employers are out there demanding health insurance concessions from unions, or they just impose higher costs if there's no union. The healthcare costs go up, our pay goes down. Go on strike, you might lose your health insurance. We fight over insurance denials. It's very important to understand that this is not insurance as you know it. When you insure your car against being crashed, it doesn't happen, the house wins, the insurance company wins. No, everyone uses health insurance all the time, and therefore the company has to find ways of not paying claims. So we're always in a battle if we file a claim, or a potential battle if you file a claim. So the result is corporate profits, insurance red tape, administrative and advertising waste, outrageous CEO compensation, and all healthcare costs are outpacing wages, not just premiums. Deductibles are also outpacing wages. And we have a medical bankruptcy phenomenon, which is unheard of in any other wealthy country. We have something called job lock. Look it up. Unheard of in any other wealthy country. And fewer firms are offering retiree benefits, retiree healthcare benefits. The bottom line, it's a divide and conquer model. We're all in different plans. We're all in different competing versions of insurance. And it's private, it's fractured, and it was no match for COVID-19 and the future pandemics. So the alternative is healthcare, not insurance. Immediate, significant financial savings because we're paying too much, it's all going to be refunded. Improvement in healthcare and health because we're not going to have financial barriers or disincentives to go to the doctor and take care of our health. We have added benefits, long-term care, dental, eyeglasses, hearing. And for us in the labor movement, we are going to get back to the table on better wages, working conditions, time off, pensions, et cetera, and forget about healthcare. It won't be on the table anymore. So how do we do it? We provide everyone with publicly financed healthcare, no out-of-pocket costs. Some people call this improved Medicare for all or single-payer healthcare. On the MassCare website, you'll see both terms. Single-payer is the specific version of paying for universal healthcare that eliminates all financial disincentives to seeking care and providing care. Many of the other proposals for universal coverage don't include everything that we can include when we consolidate and simplify, and they continue to ask us to be a payer by copays and deductibles. We don't do that with the single payer model and our bill in the State House. So we cover all medically necessary health care at any licensed provider of our choice, including hospital care, outpatient care, reproductive care, dental, vision, nursing, long-term, as I said. We cover all residents of Massachusetts and all non-residents who work here 20 hours a week or more. And we do it spending about 30% less than the Commonwealth as a whole, as a society, is spending right now. Because it's a single, consolidated, nonprofit system only devoted to healthcare. Yeah. We eliminate insurance companies. We negotiate with drug companies and other manufacturers. Patients, doctors, and other providers make the medical decisions. And the Massachusetts Healthcare Trust pays the bills. Billing takes automated billing. When they do this in Canada, it takes about half a minute for a doctor or a practice to get paid. The trust is funded by consolidating all federal and state healthcare spending in Massachusetts. So that's Medicare, Medicaid, and other programs, and replacing all premiums and out-of-pocket costs, such as copays, deductibles, co-insurance, et cetera, with significant lower taxes. Brian, a little faux pas in the video, Brian called it one payroll tax. Actually, it's a four-part tax. We can get into it. We replace all premiums. That means we're replacing the premiums that are hidden in your auto insurance, your homeowner's insurance, your property insurance, workers' compensation. Many people don't understand that there is a premium as part of that kind of insurance. And the savings is tremendous. The people in Massachusetts collectively save over $37 billion a year, about 30% of current spending. Our legislation is an act establishing Medicare for all in Massachusetts. It's been filed in both of the Massachusetts House and the Massachusetts Senate. The bills are identical. It's in the Joint Committee. It's bottled up in the Joint Committee on Healthcare Financing. We're lobbying now to have them discharge the bill, send it on its way to be passed. And we have a campaign called Ought to Pass. If you go on our website, masscare.org, you can see the link to that campaign right on the front page. Now, we have other tactics. We can't be just lobbying in the State House. We have to be willing to entertain running candidates against the incumbents in the State House and a statewide ballot, binding ballot question. So in terms, we can get into tactics if you want. We're not ruling out anything in order to win, because we understand the opposition is the vested interest in making money off of 1/6 of the state economy. So I'll leave it there and see what the questions are.
Well, thank you, John. The first one that comes to mind for us, or for me at the April 4th Coalition and being a resident of North Adams, is in 2014, our hospital here in North Adams just closed, and it was closed for almost 10 years. How would single payer help smaller hospitals like the one in North Adams stay afloat?
There are two main strategies. One is that the trust fund be given enough money to set up a design for hospital delivery. You want to get a handle on all the hospitals. Massachusetts used to do that. For some reason, they thought the market could figure that out better. But no, when we were actually deciding where beds go, the Commonwealth was ahead of the curve. And Maryland is doing it now. And the other thing to do with hospitals is put them on a global budget. Just put them on a budget. And then there's a contract with the trust. The trust will pay the budget. And if there's any savings, it'll stay in the hospital as a carryover to the next year. But this idea that, the Q-tip is going to be, when you have a stay in the hospital, the Q-tip is going to be billed to the insurance company, and they got to come up with a price for it. It's outrageous cockamamie.
Yeah.
So the cutting edge approach to regulating hospitals is to put them on a budget, take away any for-profit hospitals, kick them out. Our bill does not allow any of the hospitals to be like what happened out east with the Steward situation, be owned by a for-profit entity. And then what happens inside the hospital is that it is entirely, because you know that their finances are guaranteed, it's entirely about healthcare. Now, a follow-on question is, what do you do with all those people in the billing department in the hospital? There's a provision, again, we have to give the system enough money to take those people out of billing, and not just billing in the hospitals, but billing in the doctor's offices or whatever, and put them into healthcare if they want to go there or go back to school and learn another skill. But the bill covers that. So we have these, besides paying doctors and practitioners and hospitals, the bill also has more money to take care of transitioning workers, studying the lay of the land, making sure there's rational deployment of services all around the state. You know, we have a maternity desert right now in Western Mass. Fix that. There's enough money in the Medicare, Medicaid, and tax. Medicaid, by the way, is Uncle Sam and the state tax revenue, and then the tax revenue from the payroll and the other taxes. There's enough there to do all that in a unified way and still show a $7 billion surplus at the end of the year. And that's after taking 30 billion, 37, and just giving it back to everybody. The scale of this reform is so high that the savings, because the prices are so high and the costs are so high to operate this way, the status quo, the savings is tremendous. And everybody will pay less, except for maybe our guesstimate at MassCare is that it's about 2% of the most wealthy people will pay a little bit more.
So I have a follow-up question to that. So right now there is a huge healthcare disparity in terms of whether people can afford treatment or not, and have access to quality health care. And I'm wondering, when you talk about sort of a universal tax, how does that, how do people's income levels relate to what the tax would be?
Okay, so while there is a graph on the website, that could be too much for a short program here. Let me just emphasize that us who are still going to work, if we are, Dick and I are, I think maybe all three of us are fortunately retired, but
Yeah.
we're not going to pay anything if we're retired. But those who go to work are only going to pay 2.5% of their wages and salaries after the first $20,000.
Oh,
And as a result, you can now do the math. You can just simply take. Nobody knows what they pay for copays, deductibles, whatever. I don't expect you to know that. Take your premiums, which you can see coming out of your bank or coming out of your paycheck. You can see how much you're paying in premiums every month. You just take 1 month and multiply by 12, and see if that is 2.5% of your income.
okay, that's helpful. Well,
It
another,
ain't 2.5% of your income.
right,
It's in some cases it's 5 times as much. It's
Yeah.
awful.
yeah. One other question I had is, the ability to go to a specialist of your choice. How do you think about those issues?
Well, first of all, anyone who's licensed in Massachusetts is not going to be able to bill any other insurance company but the trust. Any other insurance, the trust is an insurance entity in a sense. It's not a company. You will not. A doctor wants to practice in Massachusetts, and anything that's covered by the trust, they will only be allowed to bill the trust. Now, Medicare can insist on continuing to operate. So then we have two payers. We have Medicare and the trust. There's Plan A, where the Medicare gives its money to the trust. Plan B, where Medicare wants to be independent of the trust. Doesn't matter. The doctors can only bill one of those two agencies. Actually, you can bill both because of the way Medicare doesn't cover 100% of your bill. So what happens is we wind up the doctors being motivated, not because their income is guaranteed, by the way, once the rates are set, and they can participate in the negotiation of the rates. The estimate by our economists to build the budget that we're proposing to the legislature is Medicare rates plus 10%. So for most doctors, that's going to be a pay raise. Most of the most important doctors, the ones we have to see at the entry level at the primary care and family practice level. They're going to see a bump in their pay. And so the doctors are motivated to stay in the state. They're motivated to stay, and then they're disincentivized to leave because they will only, they won't be able to bill any other insurance company.
But for example, I
So
could,
that means all the doctors that exist now are going to be there. Plus, we're going to spend about 11 billion more to expand medical care in the deserts. So, we want, also we have a portion of the campaign is, the bill is to study the need for more doctors and see if we can incentivize medical school.
oh, excellent. So just kind of a follow-up. So if I am a cancer survivor, if I have a doctor at Mass General, I could still see that same doctor under the center.
Yeah. If the doctors, first of all, over the years, doctors were the first people to be against single payer when it was proposed by Roosevelt and Francis Perkins in the New Deal and then Truman. And now the majority of doctors want single payer.
Yeah.
They want a guaranteed income and they want to practice medicine. They don't want to practice billing or what I call administering healthcare, administering health insurance. They want to practice healthcare. So we've got a great merger of interests.
It's excellent.
So I really want to thank you, John, but before we close, I heard you say that term job lock, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, is that like, I try to explain to people, sometimes people stay in jobs just because they need the benefits, instead of
Yeah.
going out and starting a new business, which they really have a calling to do. They say, oh, I got to stay here, I got a wife and kids, and it's dependent upon me to stay here at the post office where I have a lot of benefits, rather than go out and start my own business. Is that what job lock is, or?
Basically, yeah. And you know what? I was surprised. Wikipedia has a great explanation of job lock. So people, I could throw it out there and tease people with it and ask them to go do a little homework, because it's a fact of life now. Everyone recognizes job lock. It's like become a term of art, and most of the people who recognize it as a problem. So Wikipedia goes to the next paragraph and says, and it's recognized as a problem in the United States, and nowhere else, because so at least in the European nations, which have basically a socialistic approach to paying for all these things we call fringe benefits, they basically they move from job to job as according to the quality of their skills and the quality of the employer.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So this is very exciting, and its time has come in Massachusetts, I believe. What do you recommend if we'd like to get involved and we want to help organize to support this? What would you suggest we do?
So on the legislative front, your state rep, John Barrett, your state senator, Paul Mark, are excellent on this issue. So what you do is you go meet with them and you reinforce, right? You thank them, you reinforce, and you ask them, what can we do to get this out of committee? Neither of them are on the committee, so we have a problem. We need them to go and badger the committee, in particular, the Senate chair of the committee and the House chair of the committee. Okay, so that's one thing that's very easy, because a lot of people, especially in the smaller towns and cities of Massachusetts, they have a good relationship with their senator. And you guys, I know that Dick knows John very well. So you know what? Build on that relationship. Okay, so then the other thing is that we've got a education problem. The video of this is going to have a life to it. That's great. Brian's video. You guys are already doing something. See what other people who may be attracted to your show, to your cause, can help you with in terms of education. And then get onto the list of MassCare at masscare.org, and get onto the Western Mass Medicare for All list, which you can find on the Hub webpage on masscare.org and see whether or not we have the need for a what we call a hub. When we have a state rep who's on the bill, if we want them to do more, it's good to have a group of citizens that meet regularly with that state rep. So if you want to form a hub, I'm here for you. I'm the co-chair of Western Mass Medicare for All, and we have a lot of work being done in hubs. Of course, most of our hubs that are doing work right now in Agawam, Wilbraham, Ludlow, these are places where the rep is a problem for it. So what you can do by having a rep who's not a problem, but could be on the cutting edge of working, taking the next step, you could be innovating new tactics in that district. What do we do with 30, we've got 27 reps and senators in Western Mass. 2/3 of them are co-sponsoring our bill. What can we be doing next with those people? Now, I'll grant you, all of us who live along the Worcester County border, we want those people to pivot into Worcester County and build up our hubs there. But you're as far away as you can get. So think in North Adams about what can you do to innovate a tactic that gets John Barrett to put this at the top of his agenda. Not just co-sponsor the bill.
Yeah, I think a lot of public education on this, right?
Yes.
I think we could even have a letter people sign on to or something, right? Like a petition of some
Yeah.
sort.
We're trying to spread the word. There was a meeting, a special meeting last Friday at MCLA sponsored by the Northern Berkshire Community Coalition, and they were talking about SNAP benefits and heat. But when Paul Mark and John Barrett spoke, they both talked about healthcare too. So maybe we have to push and try to see if we can have one of those meetings just on healthcare and push this issue.
Hubba.
I just want
We can have a hub.
I can't thank you enough, John.
Well, let me quickly, if there's a moment to say,
Yes.
in the current crisis, everyone's concerned about what's going to happen in the next few days. Everyone knows that this thing is going to happen in the next few years. And so there is a tension. And what we need is the folks that are battling today, while they're battling today over Medicaid cuts or whatever, they need to be planning to win single payer, because you're not going to have any of these struggles when you set up a system that guarantees payment to the providers, right? And guarantees health care to all of us. It just doesn't create cuts. It creates generosity.
I really, really agree with that, because we can play defense all we want, but the system was broken before and it's still broken. And so we have to both be thinking about, stopgap measures so people don't suffer, but also how to really fix it profoundly, right? And so I really like this idea of working in the present with the future in mind. It's really critical right now.
Well,
And we do have a petition. It's on the front page of masscare.org.
Okay.
We do have a petition that we hope that you could help us push out there.
okay, we will, but we're going to have to call this a day on this show, and hopefully this will give birth to more shows and more conversations about single payer for all. So thank you so much, John, for taking
you.
the time to be with us. And as we always end with power to the people.
Power to the people.
Mistakes of the bosses we must pay for. From the cities and the farmlands to trenches full of mud. War's always been the bosses' way, sir. The Union forever defending our rights. Down with the black leather workers unite. With our brothers and our sisters in many far off lands, there is power